Good morning. Malchut. How could you not be seen? It's always good to talk to an empty room. You feel like you're back in Chicago with this cold weather? Yeah. Ah. Good morning, everybody. Ralph, why don't you unmute yourself? So if you have any questions, you can ask them.
Okay, done.
Good. Keep yourself unmuted.
She likes me the other way.
Keep your wife muted, but you can keep yourself unmuted.
Thank you, Marty. I needed that.
How is she? All right?
Yep, she's right here.
I saw her.
Get in the picture. I can't get in the picture. I'm too big.
Really? How are you?
Good to see you.
Little weather to remind you of Connecticut, huh?
Wow, yeah. Oh, it's gone.
Why don't you sit here and we'll swap? Because
Good
that way
morning, Sam.
you can see yourself in the upper
I
right-hand
should
corner.
stand?
Good morning, way back up there in Michigan.
Oh,
How are you guys in Michigan?
Okay, you're in the upper right.
oh.
We've got snow and it's down to 20. We didn't have much snow. They expected 4 to 8 inches and we got about a half inch or two. That's about it. Marty, I have one more Shyla.
One more?
Yeah, there's Rabbi Kowalski, and I'm looking for more clues. Was he a Levi?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you
I
might
don't
know. That's my another clue to see if he has any relation to.
Kids are rabbis, aren't they?
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know, and I don't know how to find out.
Because he was just asking about Rabbi Kowalski. Oh, yeah, right, okay.
I thought you were asking your wife, Marty.
Hi,
That's
Cheryl.
Cheryl, the epistemology of tefillah.
That
It's
is the
such an
epistemology of
interesting
Tefillah, but I'm
class.
telling you the epistemology of tracking down someone's thing. You said you ask your wife.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. I'm a very
You're not
chilly New York.
responsible for this weather, are you? You're not the one that's responsible?
No,
Cheryl, I'm looking for the one who's responsible for the cold weather.
I'm in New York, so I'm having it worse than you.
You're in New York now?
You're in New York.
You can still be responsible for it.
Good morning, Mr. Levine.
Whereabouts in New York are you?
I'm actually in Manhattan,
Herschel.
on the Upper East Side.
Cheryl, you having your class tomorrow at 10
I
o'clock?
am.
I'm so excited. My other
Good,
class is
Shona.
canceled, so I'll be able to see it in the flesh.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely having it still. I'm in my own apartment here, so it's good.
In New York has books?
I brought them all with me in a separate suitcase.
Wow. That's dedication.
I'll show you a picture tomorrow, okay, before class. Hey, Marty, it's filling up, but it's 10:00.
See a pot handle.
Marty, thank you so much for your classes. They're excellent.
Yeah, they are. Even though I had a miss last week, I made it up online. It was great. Thanks.
I couldn't get yours from last week yet till yesterday, and I didn't have time yesterday, so I hope I can do it before tomorrow.
Yeah, they
Not
were
all
all
Hi,
on.
Herschel.
She put all the classes up yesterday, all the repeats from last week.
Wednesday's a busy day. I have 5 classes on Wednesday. It's like I'm back in school.
No, I don't never me. What?
What? What are you trying to do?
It's cold.
Yeah,
It's supposed to go to 50.
Jackie's on.
What?
Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna mute it.
No, I don't see her face. I just hear her name.
Checking for mail right now.
I don't think so. It's almost right by your hand there. Good morning, Abe. Good morning, Esther. Okay.
He's still checking for mail.
Okay. Want to start?
When it comes in, I'll show it to you.
I would ask everybody to please unmute yourself. That way, if there's any questions or feedback, we can have a conversation. So please unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Unmute.
Right? Okay.
Whenever.
Ready to start? For those that are watching up north, the weather is just as cold down here. It was something like 49 degrees this morning without the wind chill.
59.
Like somehow we'll be able to get through it. If any of you are just joining us and you missed the previous shiurim on this topic, you can pick them all up on the shul's website, Torah or Boca, one word, TorahOrBoca.org. TorahOrBoca.org. Click on the field that says learning and then go down to the appropriate name of the person whose shir you want to listen to. Okay, so very, very quickly, since I see some new people that have joined us. Good morning, Zvi. Rabbi Carpel is now with us. Just to review very, very quickly, for those who are joining us for the first time, the topic is Malchut based David. We haven't even gotten anywhere near it yet. As a matter of fact, I got a call, I think it was last week, that what I'm talking about is nothing to do with the topic. And you're right, we'll get there slowly. The first year we spoke about the relationship of Yaakov, Leah, Rachel to his wives and the environment that conflict between Yaakov and his wives made on the children and what they saw, because children many, many times their behavior is influenced by what they see at home. That was the first year. The second year consisted of talking about the relationship between Yaakov and his sons. Now that Leah has passed away, what kind of environment did Yaakov set for his sons, and how did the children react to the way, or at least 10 out of the 11, how did they react to the way they were being treated? So today I want to finally talk at least about a little bit about Yehuda and get into the actual Mechiras Yosef, because we're tracing the Malchut based David all the way back to Yehuda, and hopefully today we'll get into Yehuda. I did get a call during the course of the week from Robin Einbinder, who asked me a question. I mentioned very, very briefly, that there was similarities here in this story between Akedos Yitzchak and what's going on with Mechiras and the Yaakov and his relationship with Yosef. I'll touch very, very briefly on that because that's all off the topic. But towards the end, I'll get back to that and just try to wrap that up. So let's start. We're talking about the strife in Yaakov's family, the relationship between Yaakov and his sons. And we have to divide this into what the text says, what the Torah says, and what the Torah doesn't say. Because the point I was trying to make to you last week is that the relationship between Yaakov and his sons and the relationship between the brothers and Yosef were very, very much influenced by what the text does not say in the Torah, okay? And that there's a whole different interpretation as to actually what is going on, what was the actual conflict between Yosef and his brothers. So what we do know, that the brothers were upset because of the Lashon Hara that Yosef spoke, leveling false charges on their behavior. Jacob showing a favoritism, making him a special coat. There's no civil discourse. They couldn't talk to each other. Then came his dreams. And not only were the dreams a problem, but the fact that Yosef felt compelled to tell the brothers and their fathers about the dreams. The dreams implying that he would rule over them. And then finally, the last thing we said, that Yaakov not really taking any action, to discipline Yosef about his dreams, apparently accepting them. Those were all the reasons that the Torah gave for why the brothers might have not gotten along or might have wanted to do what they did to Yosef. But I want to suggest to you, I did suggest to you that there was another reason which the Torah does not implicitly state, and what was really going on here. In effect, what was going on here was a battle for the legacy of Yaakov. You could call it the Bechira. A better word, I think, would have been a battle for the legacy of Yaakov. What the brothers wanted to know was this favoritism that Yaakov showed to Yosef. What did this mean for them? And what would this mean for Jewish history going forward? What did this mean for them? Well, they had a history, generations of Abraham. Abraham had two children. He had Yitzchak and he had Yishmael, right? The oldest one was Yishmael, but ultimately in Jewish history, what happens to Yishmael? Non-existent. He's wiped out. The next generation, Yitzchak has two children. He has Yaakov and he has Esau. Esau arguably is the oldest. What happens to Esau in Jewish history? He gets wiped out. So now we're down to the third generation, and Yaakov seems to be treating his children pretty much the same way as his father and his grandfather did. So the brothers have a right to worry in terms of what's going to be with them. What is their role in Jewish history? Right? Is there a role for them? Will Yaakov completely wipe them out? Or will they play a subservient role? Either one of them is not sufficient for them. They feel they don't deserve it. Why would Yaakov, after all the things that he saw in his life, why would Yaakov favor Yosef? I mean, did Yaakov need a lesson in parenting 101? Why would Yaakov favor Yosef? Anybody want to pop in and give us a clue or an answer? He favored him because he was
His favorite wife's son.
Rachel's son.
Rachel's son, yeah.
Right? That's what most of the Mefarshim say. There's a very interesting Rashi.
But also because, didn't he also because, I heard once that he also because Yosef was like very, very learned and educated and also very like, not more of a tzaddik than his brothers, but like really a tzaddik in everything. And did everything right as well and was... Cheryl's is saying that because Yosef, if I can paraphrase what you said, was more frum, he was more of a tzaddik. He was called Yosef a tzaddik. Okay,
worked for me. Came much later in life. Okay? So...
Marty, if you take a look in Rashi, in Parshas Vayeshev, Rashi gives you the exact answers.
I'm doing that right now, this second. Here we go. So, the answer. Shehoya Ziv Akunun. Okay, so Yosef Domelo. They looked exactly alike. Looked in the mirror and they looked exactly alike. Okay? Next, Yosef. Everything that's going to happen to Yaakov, it's going to happen to Yosef, or at least as Yaakov sees it. Zenistam. Okay? Well, each brother was hated. Yaakov was hated by Esau, okay? And the brothers hated Yosef. So Rashi lays it right out, okay? Just in terms of why Yaakov favored Yosef, okay? Now, we had a discussion yesterday, last week, I should say, what was Yaakov's reaction to this? Okay, and how did the brothers perceive what the reaction was? So, there are two reactions, okay? One by Yigar Bo. By Yigar Bo is one. And number two is the Aviv Shomares Hadavar. Right? Neither reaction was satisfactory to the brothers. Look by Yigar Bo in your handouts. Rashi again comments on it. Take a look at number 1 in your handout in the back. By Yigar Bo, what does Rashi say? He wasn't like Ada suggested last week. He disciplined him. Okay. By Yigar Bo, what does Rashi say? Okay. By Yigar Bo, Lefi Shahoya Metel Sino Olav. Yaakov wasn't upset that Yosef was having this dream. He was upset that Yosef, keep this quiet. You're bringing anger on your brothers upon you. That wasn't a discipline of Yosef. By Yigar Bo. And take a look also at number 2. Shomar es hadavar. Rashi says, Vayamamtim u'mitzape mosai yovo. Yaakov was hoping and waiting for the time that this particular dream would come true. The very, very back Ada of the handouts, okay, there's some notes after all the text. Okay, never, let's go. So let's go on. Ada's having trouble finding it. Okay, all right. So let's now talk about. Let's go into the text and let's go forward. Okay, I'm reading starting by Shani. Your handout should have it on page 87. Vayelchu Echav Leros es son avihem b'Shechem. The narrative picks up that the brothers go to Shechem. They take Yaakov's flock and they go to Shechem to pasture, to feed the flock. Right? I want you to take a look very, very closely at that pasuk. Look at that pasuk very, very closely. Do you see anything that, other than Sam Coleman, who I told this to last night, do you see anything that jumps up at you that seems odd? Look at the text. Carla, you got to look at the text. You won't get it from looking at me. You won't look at the text. Oh, that's another question, but look at the words.
Can you tell us where you are in the text, please?
I'm right at Shani, the first pasuk on Shani. All right, first pasuk. Vayelchu echav leros et son avihem b'Shechem.
Okay, thank you.
Do you see anything there that bothers you? Huh?
The only question is why do they go to Shechem?
That's a question I will answer in a minute or two.
Well, the fact that it's Shechem is not.
Take a look at the word S.
The dots above S.
The word S.
The dots are usually not there usually.
Huh?
The dots above S are not usually there.
Dot above the word S, right? If those that are sitting here that have the handouts, if you take a look at number 3 on the handouts, I printed up how it would appear in the Torah. There are dots over the word S, the actual writing of the Torah. What are those dots there for?
Telling us something else.
What, like Pacey says, the answer is to tell me something else is going on. which leads us to Rabbi Karpel's question, okay? Did they really go to Shechem to pasture the sheep?
No, they went out to conspire against Joseph.
That's Danny. Hiya, Danny. If you
Okay,
take a look,
fine. Thank you.
if you take a look at the map, a map of Israel, which I didn't put in, how far is, they started off at Hebron. How far is Hebron from Shechem? I mean, even today with a naked bus, it's going to take you a good hour, at least. My question is, was there no places for them to go to pasture the sheep between Hebron and Shechem? No places existed? So that was...
Yeah, but they couldn't go ahead and go there.
Why?
They couldn't go to the
Yeah,
other
wait, wait. Okay, did they really go to Shechem to pasture the sheep? Okay, so I want to suggest to you, and some Chazal suggest, that the purpose of them going to Shechem had nothing to do really with pasturing the sheep. Okay, nothing to do with pasturing the sheep. Okay, why Shechem of all places? Because what happened in Shechem? What had just happened in Shechem?
They all became Jewish.
Huh?
They all became Jewish, so the brothers could go marry.
No, what happened in Shechem? There's a
No,
big,
he said the rape of
big massacre in Shechem,
Yeah.
right? And the children of Yaakov, or Shimon and Levi, wiped out a good deal of the people of Shechem, the male population.
Yeah,
And
but the
Yaakov
ladies are there.
that they were going to get even with him. Okay, it wasn't a good place for a Jewish kid to hang out. So the brothers figured somehow we can entice or get Yosef to come on his own to Shechem, right? Maybe bad things will happen to him. And this is what we want, because remember, the goal of the brothers is somehow to get rid of Yosef. And this way they could get the people from Shechem to do the dirty work for them.
Wouldn't Yaakov know that was a dangerous place? Why would he send him there?
Okay, so a very good question, Chernes. If it goes a dangerous place, why would Yaakov send him there? I'm going to answer that, because that has to do partially what I said in the Kedah, and I promise I will answer that to you. Just wait, okay? All right. So it's possible that the brothers wanted to entice him down there so that bad things could happen to him, all right? The question now became, why does Yaakov send him to start with to Shechem? He knows there's enmity between him and his brothers, okay? He knows that there's going to be a lot of problems. If he was really, really concerned with the shalom of the tzon and the shalom of his brothers, Yaakov was a very wealthy man. We learned in the laning last week that Yaakov got very, very wealthy. He had a lot of abodim and shvachos. The Torah tells us that. He could have sent a couple of his servants to go down to Shechem and to report back, okay? And I want to answer this question to you very, I'm breaking it in a tongue. I want to answer the question this way. I want to call it the reason that Yaakov sent Yosef there was because of for want of a better word, I want to call it because of the riddle of the bowing moon. The riddle of the bowing moon. What was the riddle of the bowing moon? Okay? The riddle of the bowing moon. The moon bowing down to Yosef. Okay?
But also maybe he was hoping that if Joseph would come to his father.
The moon was supposed to be his mother, right? So why would his mother bow
Cheryl,
down?
somebody's talking here. Hang on, Cheryl. Go ahead. Ada, what?
Maybe Yaakov thought that if he sends Joseph to his father, he would like kind of make a peace or be nice to them and they were.
The Torah says, "V'lo yochlu dabro l'shalom." Okay, but you're close. Okay, Cheryl, what do you want to say?
I said, well, I guess the moon was supposed to be his mother, right? Rachel.
The moon was supposed to be his mother, so why is this a riddle?
Why is it a riddle? Because I guess why would his mother bow down to him? He could understand maybe why he would or his brothers, but he couldn't
Cheryl
understand why
saying,
the mother would.
why would the mother bow down to him? I guess his brothers. No.
No.
Yosef tells Yaakov his dream. Okay. The Aviv Shomares Hadavar. What was wrong with Yosef's second dream? The second dream was the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars are all going to bow down to him. What's wrong with that?
His mother was dead already. She couldn't bow down.
Then he hit it. The mother is dead already. The mother is dead. So how could the mother bow down? And Yaakov is very, very perplexed about this. He doesn't know. Till now, he's pretty much accepted the dreams that Yosef is going to rule over them.
Go away.
Okay, now we got to mute. Now, Ralph, we got to mute.
See.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. This throws Yaakov into a whole problem. Mommy is dead. What are you talking about? When you have a dream, all right, Esther, you have a dream last night, right? Can anybody verify what you tell Abe the dream? Nobody can verify it. The only one that knows whether this dream is true is you, all right, that you had the dream. So Yaakov has to begin to worry now, not to think, not worry. Now Yosef has had this dream, and this dream includes his mother bowing down to him when his mother is dead, okay? Plus, he now has a situation, maybe he could understand the brothers, but a father bowing down to a son, the purpose of a Bechor, and Yaakov truly thinks that Yosef is his Bechor, okay? But the purpose of a Bechor is to carry the legacy down to the next generation. That's what a Bechor does. He takes daddy's legacy and he carries it down. But if that's the situation, what kind of dream of a father bowing down to a son? It just seems to be incongruous. What? Leah being alive or dead, I think she was dead, but Leah being alive or dead has nothing to do with this. Leah wasn't his mother. So Yaakov now has to question, okay, whether in fact Yosef is making these dreams up. Is he truly the Bechor? Because the Bechor doesn't want daddy bowing down. The Bechor is interested in the legacy. Okay? What?
How could Yaakov think that Joseph is the Bechor?
I just read you a Rashi. Because the question is, how could Yaakov say Yosef was the Bechor? I just read you a Rashi. He felt that Yosef was going to be his successor for a variety of reasons.
He knew he was not the Bechor.
But a Bechor, yes, but a Bechor. A Bechor. Bechor. Bechor means the oldest. So the question is, how can he think it? He thought it. He thought it. What do you mean, how? He thought it. This is what the whole story is about, Ada. Okay? Because why would the brothers then be upset? But to him, Leah didn't matter. Okay. All right. Pardon me for the yelling. All right. All right. There's a book, there was a very famous political scientist by the name of Richard Neustadt. Richard Neustadt wrote a book about presidents in the 20th century. And he makes the argument presidents rule, but they have two powers. They have the statutory power, which is to make the, to command the army, to make, send legislation, to make executive decrees. And presidents also rule by the power of persuasion. And what Neustadt says in his book is that the power of persuasion is what makes a president or a leader successful, as opposed to the powers that he has by law. So now let's take this back, okay? What has this got to do, a 20th century political scientist writing this, with Yosef? When he says to Yosef, what's Yaakov's mission? Yaakov's mission is to send Yosef to Shechem, to see the shalom of the brothers, right? And we postulated that Yaakov had no business sending him here because he was sending him into danger. But what if Yaakov is not now, because of this riddle of the bowing moon, Cheryl? He's not sure, in fact, that Yosef is in fact the leader, that he's not making these dreams up. He's got to devise some sort of a test, okay? And the test is, if Yosef is truly a leader, and the leader's job is to persuade, or the power of persuasion, then if Yosef is truly a leader and he has the attributes to become a leader, let's see what he could do with his brothers. Almost like what Ada said. Let's see if he could go to Shechem, and if he's a true leader, by the power of persuasion, he will then be able to fix up all the problems with him and his brother. He'll make the family whole again, because that's what a leader does. So that's one of the reasons why Yaakov sends him to Shechem, okay? All right, let's move on. A lot to cover, right? He thinks that they're in Shechem. Okay, almost now we get some imitation of the Kedah. What was the first thing that Abraham said at the Akedah? Hineni, all right? Leave that aside, we'll get back to it at the end. And he says to him, go see the peace of your brothers. Right? It's a long trip, especially in those days. Okay, and Rashi says right off the bat that this is the Malach Gabriel. Okay, so some man finds him. He seems to be lost. He's moving around. No GPS. Can't find his brothers. What are you looking for, Yosef? Vayomen, he says, I'm looking for my brothers. Where are they? Where are my brothers? A very, very poignant kind of statement by the Torah. Nasu mizeh. You can take it literally. Nasu mizeh. They've moved on from here. They've traveled from here. But nasu mizeh also, Chazal say, you may think that they're his brothers, your brothers. But nasu mizeh. They've moved on from that feeling of brotherhood. Nasu mizeh. They no longer consider you to be a brother. And you're going to be walking into danger. You're too literal, all right? You can go argue with Chazal. Ada is making faces, even under the mask. Kishamati omrim, I heard them say, Nielcho dosoino, that they're moving on to Dosan. Dosoina is I looked on the map, it's about 10 kilometers north of Shechem. Okay, so we have a story. What, Carla? Okay. Vayiro Sameh Rachok. Echoes of the Akedah. Vayares Amokom Rachok in the Akedah, right? Vayiro Sameh Rachok. And the brothers see him from the distance. Who would tear him, Yikrab Aleihem, before he could get, close to them, they can get in contact. Vayisnakluo Solahamiso. They hatch a plot. They be talked about, they make a conspiracy. that they're going to kill him. Vayomu ish el achav. Each one, brothers talk to the other. Ish el achav is really two people are in the lead at this point. Ish el achav are Shimon and Levi. Shimon v'Levi achim. Okay, so their plan is hine bal hachalomos halazeh bo. It's very interesting that apparently what's bothered Shimon and Levi at this point is not all the favoritism, not the Kisonas Pasim, but he's described as a Bal HaChalomos. The dreams seem to bother him. It seems to be the reason, all right? Yator, and now, the Chuva Nahar Gehu, Shimon and Levi come up with a plan. V'nashlicheu bi'achad haboros, v'yomarnu chaya ro'ach oloso v'nireh ma'yeh chalumoso. Not what would happen with the coat, but what's going to happen to the dreams. So now we have plan one. Plan one is devised by Shimon and Levi. Kill him first, and then throw him in the bowl, right? Plan one.
But what kind of father could Yaakov have been that his sons were willing to do a plot that's against the Noah laws? Even
I can't hear you, Sarah. Sarah, I can't hear you.
Murder is precluded by the Noahite laws.
Correct.
You can't murder someone. So why would Yaakov's sons be willing to plot murder?
Why would Yaakov's sons be willing to plot murder? Okay, that was Sarah's question. The answer is the hatred was so much that they weren't thinking clearly anymore. They wanted him out of the way. Couldn't deal with the bowing business. The halomos was the one. Apparently not so much the Kisonas Pasim, but they couldn't deal with the dreams. The dreams they felt were writing them out of history.
Didn't they rationalize that they were doing the right thing?
Then why would, so let me turn it around. They're sensible people, Herschel, right? Sensible people. How could they do what they did? I mean, we talk about the Shvatim of being tzaddikim. So how could they turn it around? How could they do what they did? What do you think?
Because their rage, their anger.
Okay, right. So rage, anger.
I think they didn't see it as murder. They rationalized it, right? Yeah.
Right. Rage and anger removes us from thinking clearly.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So Shimon Levi did not think clearly now, and when they decided to kill all the men of Shechem, they were not thinking clearly then. I think these incidences are proving to us that Shimon and Levi are not to be the leaders of Bnei Yisrael, and that's why Yehuda got the kingship.
Okay, so we'll get to you. So Danny says this behavior on the part of Shimon and Levi proves right off the bat that they're not going to be the leaders themselves. They're not worthy of being leaders. You are right, but then you have to talk about, and we'll take apart at the end of this year, about what Yehuda's motivation is, whether it was good or bad, and whether that should have disqualified him from being leader too. But let's move on. So the next one to step up with plan two is Vayatzileu miyadam. Okay, he tries to save Yosef. Okay, Vayomer, and he says, Lo nakenu nafesh. We ourselves are not going to be the ones to do the killing. Vayomer alehem Ruvain. Ruvain says clearly, Al tishbechu dam. Let's not us be directly the ones to kill him. Hashlichu oso bor hazeh hasheba midbar. Let's find a particular bore, a particular pit, deep pit, and let's throw him in the pit. Hasheba midbar b'yod al tishlechu bo. So theoretically, it would not be us that would kill him. This is their reasoning, okay? It would be, he would die of thirst and snakes or whatever was in the bowl, that would kill him, all right? Yod al tishlechu bo, right? So that we, 1 minute, Abe, let me just finish the sentence. Abe is going to have a question. Yod al tishlechu bo, so it wouldn't be directly our hand that's killing him. Again, faulty reasoning, because if you're an accessory to the crime, you're an accessory and you're responsible too. Okay? Then the Torah says, "L'man hatzilo somi adam la'shiva olaviv." The Torah anticipates what Reuven's motivation was, but at this point, the brothers don't know that. They don't know that. So I have two plans here so far. Plan one is kill him and throw him in the bowl, and plan two is throw him in the bowl and let him die of natural causes in the bowl. Abe. Okay, so Abe's question is if they wanted him to be killed in Shechem, okay, why did they go to Dosan to start with? Okay, I'll answer that question. It's a good question, but Shechem to Dosan is not that far, so he could have been killed in the suburbs. Wouldn't be the first time a murder took place in the suburbs. He still had to travel. All right, it's the best answer I can give you. Okay, Sam, did you have a question? Or no, just Sam's just scratching himself. Okay. So we have plan one and we have plan two, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's good with Danny. So, Vayehi kasher bo Yosef elachav, when Yosef comes to his brothers as he comes into view, Vayavshitu es Yosef ef kutanto, they strip Yosef of a kisones. Okay, it's kisones hapasim asher Allah. Okay, how many coats was Yosef wearing? One, Carla says. And why do I need to know that he was wearing two? Yosef has two coats. Take a look at Rashi. Rashi says, Eskutanto, look at number 4. Zechaluk. This is his undershirt. Eskisonas hapasim, he shall hosif lo aviv yoser alecho. This is the second coat that hosif lo aviv yoser alecho, that he gave him one additional coat over his brothers. So Yosef was wearing two coats. Why do I need to know this? Why do I need to know this? Why is this important to the whole text? For the text to tell me, and that Rashi has to make a comment. They took his konas hapasim off, and that was it. Why do I need to know two?
So to show the favoritism again.
The root of the jealousy was the Kesonas Pasim. Okay, maybe, okay. All right. What did the Kesonas Pasim, in addition to leadership, indicate to the brothers? What do we know? He was telling everybody, and he was telling the brothers that he was the Bechor. The Bechor gets what? Pi Shenayim. Okay, remember that. The Bechor gets Pi Shenayim. That's why Rashi felt it was very, very important to tell us that he had two coats. Two coats. Now we'll see towards the end. He wore an undershirt, and on top of his undershirt, I guess he had his tzitzit, or maybe before Matan Torah he didn't have to wear them. And on top of that, he wore the Kesonas Pasim. Abe? Okay. So it's a good question. If before Matan Torah, where does this whole thing from Pishanayim come into effect? Okay. Number one, a very simple answer, which Chazal always give, which I always had trouble with personally, but it's my failing, is that the Avos, what should we call it, observed inside Eretz Yisrael, they observed the whole Torah when they were inside the Avos. This was special that the Avos took upon themselves. All right. But apparently, from some of my readings, that, it was societal, right? It was societal. That in the Middle East, or in that particular environment, society, there was a law of, what do they call it in English, primogeniture, right? Primogeniture. Yeah. That it was always known that the oldest gets a double portion. So it was really not a Jewish law, but it was a law that everybody observed, Jew and non-Jew alike. Okay? And that's what the brothers have said. We'll see, before I finish, I'm going to tell you that the brothers took this Pishanayim, and where it's written in the Torah, and they turned it on its head, and they turned it back on Yaakov. Okay? Hiya, Jerry. They turned it back on Yaakov to show him that he was wrong. Okay? That being wrong, because what's the flaw in this argument? The oldest gets Pishanayim. When we look at the verses in the Torah tells us exactly Ki ben hasnua yakir lo seis lo pishnayim, that it doesn't make a difference whether it's the old, the favorite or the non-favorite. The oldest one biologically gets it. And you'll see from the text now that the brothers are going to turn this argument of Yaakov on its head and really, give it back to Yaakov. But we'll get there in a minute or two. So let's keep going. Okay. So they took the coat off of him, they grabbed him. And Chazal say that it was Shimon who threw Yosef physically in. They adopt, for the time being, they adopt Reuven's plan. Right? Plan number 2 is the plan that they're going to work with. They grab him live, and they throw him into the bowl, right? Chazal say that the brother that threw him into the bowl was Shimon, right? That's why later on, when he needs a hostage to bring Binyamin back, who does Yosef take and throw in the jail? He throws Shimon back in the jail. It's Mida Keneged Mida. Okay. V'habor reik ein bo moyim. Right? Right. There was empty, but there certainly was snakes, and there was a lot of danger in that bowl. Okay. So the brothers sit down and they have a picnic. A picnic. They open up their eyes. They see. Maybe one day separately, as a part from this entire shir, we'll do what the Rashbam says. The Rashbam has a theory that the brothers did not sell Yosef, but that's for a whole different thing. Okay, it's a whole hour lecture on itself. They see this caravan is moving, right? Long distance haulers. So plan 3 now all of a sudden gets hatched. And now we're finally, for the first time, going to meet what the shir is all about. Malchut Beis David, Yehuda, and everything. It's the first time Yehuda now appears into history other than for his birth. Yehuda says to his brothers, Ma betza ki naharo gesachinu. What gain will we have if we kill him? What will we have? Take a look at the word betza. Beis sadik ayin. It's a funny word, betza. What conjures up betza? The base for boker, sadik for tzoharayim, the ayin for erev. When do we daven? Daven 3 times a day. Betza in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Ma betza. If we're going to say our tefillot morning and afternoon and evening, and we have killed Yosef, the tefillot are not going to help. My betza. It's a little side point. I do. Yeah, no. I saw it written somewhere years ago. My betza. Yeah. The question is, did Yaakov know that the brothers did not like Esau? Of course he knew. So that goes back to the question again. Why did he send him? And I thought I answered it, Abe. That this was the test. If Yosef is truly going to be a leader, one of the leaders is they have this power of persuasion. Hopefully he was confused, Yaakov, by the second dream of Yosef. Is Yosef the true leader or not? Okay? And I want to get back to the Akedah, because Yaakov was setting up an Akedah also. I'll get back to you. I promised that before we leave. Okay, my bed second hour. The Chubanim Karel Yashma Elim, Yodenu Al Tivoki Yochinu B'Sarenu Hu, Vayishmu Lecha. Okay? All of a sudden, Yehuda pops up and he's got plan 3. We're not going to kill him. We're going to pull him out of the bowl, and then we're going to sell him, so he'll be out of our lives. Okay? And apparently something that Yehuda said is the plan that takes place. The first evidence of leadership. Sam. Yosef wasn't even entitled to be thrown into the bowl in the first place. Okay. Sam's question is, shouldn't have Yosef been given a trial before he was either killed or thrown into the bowl or sold? He should have been, okay? Who would Yosef have be able to bring for his defense lawyer? Would have been a fair trial? Okay, so you know what you could do, Sam? Sam is correct. Pile that on to all the things that the brothers did wrong. Pile that on to all the things that the brothers did wrong. Right? So Vayimshechu Vayalu is Yosef ben Abor. Vayimkru is Yosef. Yosef gets sold. We know the story. Vayoshev Reuven al Habor. Reuven goes back to the bowl. Ain't Yosef Habor. Yosef is not there. Okay. Vayikhu as Ketzonis Yosef. Vayishchatusi Irizim. So what the brothers decide? We got a problem now. Got a problem, right? They take the coat of Yosef, vayitbu as a kutones badam. They shecht an animal. They dip the coat in blood. Vayishalchu as ksonos hapasim vayobiu alavihem vayomru zos matzonu. They put the cloak in front of Yaakov. Okay, and they say, look what we found. Hakerenu haksonos bin kohim lo. Is this the coat? Oh God, I'm not going to make it. Vayakiroba Yomer, Sones Beni, Chayara Chalosu. Yaakov recognizes it and he thinks he's figured out what's happened. Tarov Yosef, Vayikra Yaakov, Simlosov, Vayosim Sak B'Mosno, Vayisabel B'Noyam Rabim, Vayakumu Kol B'No B'Nosov L'Nachamov Yima'in L'Nisnachem. There was no Nechama for Yaakov, right? Okay. Question I have now. You have plan 1, plan 2, plan 3. What was in Yehuda's plan that the brothers decided all of a sudden to adopt Yehuda's plan? Why is Yehuda's plan to the brothers better than plan 1, 2, or 3? Okay? Why?
Maybe once they calm down a little bit, this bloodlust was no longer there. They figured a better way to get rid of him.
Okay, so why was that plan better? I mean, once it was in the bowl, they apparently the bloodlust had left because they were able to sit down and have a nice little picnic.
They ate, right? They ate. Their men. They ate. They felt better.
And it was only after they were eating the picnic and having a good time,
right,
that they see this caravan in the distance and they say, Yehuda pops up and says, let's sell them.
Yeah.
So why is that plan better than the other 3? Huh?
Killing is wrong. Killing is wrong. They didn't have to kill him.
Yeah, but how does that answer the question, Carla? The question I have is why is Yehuda's plan accepted over his brothers? All right? Go ahead.
Or humanitarian. Eventually.
Sam says that it leaves the decision for whether he lives or dies in somebody else's hands. So if he's deserves to die or deserves to be saved, Hashem will save him. So why couldn't we say the same thing in the bowl? He's laying in the bowl, and if he deserves to die, Hashem will. Okay, that's true. And according to the Rashbam, it wasn't even the brothers that took him out of the pit. He was yelling and screaming in the pit, and the Orchas Yishmaelim heard him, and they were the ones that took him out of the pit. So it didn't. So God sent the refuah. Anyhow, so again, the question still remains: why Yehuda's plan was accepted? And I got to do this, and I'm not going to get to the Akedah because it's late, and I'm not going to get to the Pishanayim. I'll have to hold it off till next week. Ada.
But it's interesting that it involves three brothers, Reuben, Shimon, and Yehuda.
And Levi, Shimon, yeah.
No calculation between them. It's not that they don't like that.
Okay, right. All right, fine. So let me answer very quickly some of the answers that are given. Huh? Yeah, right. Okay, he was sold by his brother, but again, Carla, what does that got to do with my question? What does that got to do with, how does that answer my question? No, my question is, why was Yehuda's plan accepted and not the others? Okay, so here's the answer. Okay, or some of the answers that are suggested. Okay, Yehuda based his appeal to save Yosef on one, money. Money always works, right? We can make a buck out of this, right? No, seriously, Chrisley, we can make a buck out of this, right? Yehuda's plan has a material benefit for the other brothers. The other plans, they just walk away. Yehuda's plan, we do the same deed, but we get some money out of it, okay? Two, Yehuda bases this somehow on a higher moral argument. At some level, whatever we do, okay, he's still our brother. He's still our brother, so let's not kill him, okay? Let's not kill him, okay? Right? Three, Reuven's plan is not good. What was Reuven's motivation? Hashiva el aviv, right? To return him ultimately to save him and to return to his father. That plan is no good. Why? Because that's where all the trouble was, back in the house. So to return him back to his father, they'll have the same thing all over again. The situation won't be resolved. And maybe the next time the brothers or Shimon and Levi get him alone, they'll kill him. So he won't solve anything by it. All right? You know, it's going to be saying with who, okay? And perhaps Yosef, being such a dreamer and being such a resourceful kind of a guy, maybe if we sell him, he'll figure out a way once he gets down to wherever he's going to survive. In any event, he'll be out of our hair, right? And to the brothers, and this is the first instance of leadership, this presents a workable, non-lose plan. It's they don't touch him. They make a buck out of it, and he's not home anymore, right? So those were the clear reasons. Now, I have to figure because the next year is going on. Just for next week, we'll carry this over. 3 things for next week. Four things actually, if I can do it. Number 1, talk about the Akedah. Number 2, talk about this Pishnayim business. Okay. Number 3 is, but number 4 is, we've now seen the first instance of Yehuda's leadership. How would you describe this leadership? Malicious or virtuous? And is there anything here now that we've learned about Yehuda that you think really is going to qualify him for long-term leadership? In other words, if I put this on a resume, and the first thing I said, I'm looking for a leadership position, and I put down, I was instrumental in saving my brother by selling him, okay? And you were doing an interview, what would you think? Would you hire this guy?
Has persuasion.
Huh?
Has persuasion. Can
I
persuade.
wouldn't hire him. Where's the morality in this? I
Right.
saw my brother.
And why did Ruvain not know that they took him out of the pit?
Because Ruvain, according to all the Mephoshim, had left. It was his turn to take care of his father, to feed his father, because there was no wife there. So I don't know how he figured he's going to go all the way back
Yeah, right.
them to, whatchamacallit, to Hebron, and then from Hebron back to the
All the way
pit to
back,
save him.
yeah.
But that's what Chazal say.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll pick this up again next week. Thank you.
Hey,
Stay
Shkaya.
warm.
Very
Thank you, Marty.
much. It was wonderful. Very, very good.
Very clear.
Yes, Yakoach.
That's right.
Herschel.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yeshua Marty.
Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Cheryl.